What's up, everybody? This is Casey Washak with the Rolling for Revenue podcast, your jiu-jitsu business podcast. Guys, if you're looking to level up your school, create greater impact in your area, and create a lifestyle using jiu-jitsu, then this is the podcast for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things I want to talk to you about today is so many of us spend like 90% of our time putting out fires, right? Not only just putting out fires, but handling like the newer students and getting them onboarded and trying to make them love this art of jiu-jitsu. Then we're dealing with, people with payment issues. We're dealing with people frustrated with their progress. We're dealing with whoever decided to DM us through Facebook or Instagram with their issues. So we're dealing with all these issues with these clients, but there is a subset of clients or a subset of students that we're in danger of losing because they're not the ones complaining. They're not the ones with all these issues. They're just coming in, doing their thing, and then they're leaving. And they're typically not the competitors, and they're not your quote unquote like problem children, right? So they're just coming in, doing their thing. They're learning from you. They're not causing any sort of ruckus, and then they leave. And we as owners tend to think like, oh, they're good. Like they're good. We don't need to like focus on them at all. And I would argue that that's a blind spot for us. Is we need to be recognizing these people and deepening our relationship with them, since they're not proactive at doing it themselves, right? They're just coming in, doing the training sessions, and then they're leaving. They're not doing anything more or anything less. And we almost take that for granted because we're constantly dealing with the squeaky wheels, right? The people, like, once again, who are complaining about something, or they want something different, or they're frustrated with their progress, or once again, billing issues, or they're new. And I would say most of our focus goes to the problem children and the new people, right? The people who are killing it, they already get recognition. Our competitors who are doing well get their recognition, but then there's this group of students who are just coming in, doing their thing, and leaving, and we are dropping the ball when it comes to them. So this is a little bit of a wake-up call, because if they end up leaving, which this has happened to us so many times inside the personal training studios and even jiu-jitsu, you're like, damn, like what happened? Like I thought they were good. But I'm always someone who looks at everything as it's my fault. So what could I have done more to strengthen this relationship with them? And so I want to give you some strategies to think about. And a lot of this stuff, what made me think about this is Joey Coleman's book, Never Lose a Customer Again. Really, when I read that book and I read the chapter, there's basically 8 parts of a client journey. And there's one part where they're doing it but they're quiet. They're not at all the events, like all the cookouts and all the parties. They're not causing a commotion either. They're just coming in, doing their thing, and leaving. So this is where you and I as owners have to kind of pick up the ball and do more of the work. The first thing I want to tell you to do, and this is something that you have to train your staff on, is listen. And you got to listen for the life events, good or bad, that are happening in their lives. So you almost have to be eavesdropping and listening to conversations. And if you ideally follow your students online, and you can see a little more of what's going on in their lives. This is what it takes to be a business owner in 2026. All right. So we have to be proactive in this. And so we teach in both the personal training studios as well as the jiu-jitsu schools, we teach our staff to listen for these things, listen for the major life events, whether someone's getting married, someone got a promotion, someone's kid graduated college, or something bad as far as like a divorce, a death in the family, something of that nature. But either way, this gives us an opportunity to be a little more than just a place they go 2 to 3 days a week. And we give each one of our staff members $50, and it's designated for these things, to listen for these events. And then at our staff meetings, the trainer or the staff will come up and be like, "Hey, so and so just got married." And as a collective, we put that $50 towards whether it's flowers, a bottle of wine, an edible arrangement, or even better, if we know them personally, we know that there's something they're really into, we can personalize it and then write a card as a team, and we all write our names and we send it to. And that just helps deepen the relationship with them, that like, look, we're more than just a place you work out, or we're more than just a place you learn jiu-jitsu techniques. We're in your corner and we care about you. Another thing is recognition. So if you're not familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, outside of food, shelter, water, safety, there's things we need as humans that kind of round us out. So being a part of a community or being part of a tribe is huge, as well as recognition. Everybody loves hearing their name. So are there ways you can recognize your students outside of the belt promotion, and if you do stripes every so often, right? Once again, these are ways to deepen the relationship with these people. Now, one of the things we do in both the jiu-jitsu school and the personal training studios is each coach has to text at the end of their shift, whatever whatever gyms they're in of mine, every hour. So if they're in the personal training studio and they're training 6 people an hour, they have to pick 3 people total in their shift and text them and be like, "Hey, you crushed it today. I saw you." And we do the same in the jiu-jitsu schools, both for kids and adults. Now, this does a lot of different things. Obviously, we are showing we care about our members, but it's also, from the kids' side, the parents, it reinforces the fact that they made a good decision about putting in their child into this martial art. And whether we spent a lot of time with that child or not in class is irrelevant, because later on they got a text from us saying like, "Hey, this is Coach Casey, and I just wanted to say Jimmy did fantastic today. He's really picking up on the moves, and he was a great student today." That's it. Imagine getting that about your child, and you're like, man. So it means way more when it comes after the fact, right? Not right at the end of class. It came later. Like, we were thinking about them after the class. So if it was the 5 p.m. 4 to 7-year-old class, and at 8 p.m. that night, they got a text saying, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know, Jimmy crushed it today. He did fantastic. He was listening. He was picking up on the moves really well. He's really getting a hang of this. He's a great kid, great student." Boom. Now that parent is like, "Hell yeah, that is my son. He's kicking butt, man." So that's one thing we can do. We can recognize the students on almost a daily basis. So you're only doing three a day. So we have 2 kids jiu-jitsu classes, and then we have a kids kickboxing class. So we're doing 3 out of those, and then we're doing an adult or 2. All right. And now what this allows us to do is, we have a decent sized school, 275 members. So it's going to be a while before it comes back around. Now, another thing we do now, this is something we do inside our personal training studios, is we have we call it a "you're killing it" board or a "you're crushing it" board, where we pick about 8 to 10 names a month, and we write them on this big board. It's a big black glass dry erase board, and we write the names of the 8 to 10 people who are crushing it. Now, a little bit under the hood here, one of the things we do is about 7 of the names are people who are crushing it. And then 3 of the names are people who we're noticing are starting to slip. They're starting to not show up as much. They're canceling their appointments. They seem down, like they're frustrated with their progress. So we are acknowledging them as well and saying they're crushing it. And 9 times out of 10, it picks them up. And so these are some ways, guys, that we can deepen the relationship. And this, unfortunately, is how you got to do business in 2026, is you have to start thinking outside the box. We are in the customer service business that happens to do jiu-jitsu. Okay. So we can't just say, you know what, you want to learn the art, you come here, you learn, leave. Well, now jiu-jitsu is exploding and there's starting to be gyms on every block, every corner, which I love, because there's so many gyms that have gotten by for too long just being the only game in town, and they've rested on that fact, and they've gotten lazy with how they do things, and all that does is hurt the students. They don't like to market, they don't like to put time and effort into events for their students, they don't do any of these extracurriculars that deepen the relationship with their students and help their students create the identity of jiu-jitsu. So I love this because they can't do that anymore. And these are the same guys that you're going to see on all these jiu-jitsu Facebook groups bitching and moaning about how hard it is to do business these days. It's not that hard. You just got to care. You got to care, but there has to be systems behind the caring. And now this is a big thing I want to talk about briefly, is there's ways to automate some of these things, right? So the more, like, you have to care. Caring is the bare minimum and the barrier to entry into being a jiu-jitsu school owner. So that's why I don't usually talk about it, because that's a given. If you're getting kicked in the nuts on a daily basis, then you obviously care a lot about this. Otherwise, you'd be like, you know what? I'm out. I'm going to go get a job somewhere, and then I'll go focus on my jiu-jitsu at somebody else's school. So you obviously care. But we have all these tools now that help us systemize and create structure around caring. Like I said, I have to train my staff to listen for life events from my students, or we all follow each other, right? The students follow me, I follow them. Now I can see if something cool is happening in their life. And then if something is, we have a whole system of how to get that person recognized. Same thing with the 3 students a day, same deal. So it's consistently creating these systems that lead you and makes it easier for you to care. Everybody's CRM, their billing system, has birthdays, right? Every one of our students puts their birthdays into the system, and there's a report that says, here's whose birthdays are this month. Can we put a Facebook post, or however we communicate with our students, birthdays of the month, and put everybody's name in and with the date, or even bare minimum, just the name of everybody whose birthday it is this month, right? Simple. Now the next level to this is actually automating that with AI, and AI can go into your CRM, can create the post on Canva, and then actually post it in your own private Facebook group, or text it in your group text thread with all your students. However you handle that sort of thing, there's ways to do it. But The point is, it all starts with caring, and it starts with trying to figure out how to deepen the relationship with your students so that they get the most out of this and you have a stable business. This is what we all want. We all want to know that basically at the beginning of the month, if we pulled a report and said, great, I'm making 20 grand this month or 30 grand, 50 grand, whatever it is, whatever's supposed to come in, it comes in, and not throughout the month is just cancellation, 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 freeze, 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 cancellation, credit card issue, credit card issue. You know the deal. So, guys, this is where maybe you take your staff out to lunch and you literally sit down and say, how can we recognize our students more? What are some of the ideas? There's no dumb ideas. What are some of the things we can do to recognize our students more? And what I want you to do with this is, as you're getting ideas, think about how hard it would be to implement. Because you're going to hear some ideas that are fantastic, but it's like, if you do it for a couple months, then stop, it's going to look really bad. So it has to be simplistic. It has to be easy. And some of the cases, like I was saying about the life events, that's not all the time. It's whenever we hear it or if we see it on social media. So it's not a monthly thing. It's not a daily thing or weekly thing. It's whenever it happens. But the texting of members happens every day. 3 members, 3 students who we feel are crushing it, we're going to text and tell them that. Then also the You're Crushing It board, right? That happens. We put it out at the end of the month, who crushed it this month, and that lasts for 30 days. And basically there's a team meeting where we say, hey, who was killing it? And you're going to get a ton of names. And then you say, okay, who is starting to slip? And you'll get names there. And then you just decide and get it done. So guys, here's some simple ways to deepen the relationships inside your school so that you have a nice, stable business and you don't have to keep constantly trying to figure out new ways to market, new hooks and stuff like that, because the more people we can get to stay and go deeper into jiu-jitsu, the more referrals we're going to get, the more things they buy from the pro shop, so on and so forth. So this just increases the size of your business, all by focusing on who's in the gym today and how can I deepen the relationship. So guys, if you got benefit from this, like, comment, share, send it to your friends who can use this as well. And then also go to rollingforrevenue.com, where I go deeper and deeper into all the different ways to handle your retention. But take care, and I'll see you on the mats.